So today we're going to dive into a really pivotal 1982 speech by Reverend Sun Myung Moon. This thing laid out an absolutely sweeping vision for, well, all of humanity's purpose. We're going to break down how this speech basically reframes the entire Cold War, reinterprets world history, and puts the Unification Church right at the center of a cosmic final act. Right out of the gate, the speech hits you with this incredibly powerful idea. The Cold War, it's not just about politics. It's the final, decisive battle in a spiritual war over the very existence and control of God himself. And that single idea is the lens we have to look through to understand everything else. Okay, so to really get the weight of this message, you've got to picture the scene. It's 1982. The world is on a razor's edge, completely split by the Iron Curtain, and everyone's living under this constant, terrifying threat of nuclear war. And it's into that incredibly tense atmosphere that this speech comes along, offering a comprehensive, spiritual reason for all the chaos. All right, so the first big idea here is that human history, well, it isn't just one random thing after another. According to the speech, it's actually a meticulously planned divine drama, a struggle between good and evil, God and Satan, playing out on the world stage for everyone to see. And here's how they map that spiritual battle right onto the politics of the day. The world is split into two blocks, but it's all framed through that biblical story of Cain and Abel. So on one side, you have the Cain-type world, which is communism. It's described not just as a political system, but as a satanic, God-denying force that's always on the attack. And on the other side, you've got the Abel-type world, the free world, which affirms God and was supposed to be God's champion. So, if that's the framework, how does it reinterpret the massive conflicts of the 20th century? Well, they weren't just about politics or land grabs. Nope. They were actually stages in this escalating spiritual war, and each one had a very specific divine purpose. The speech lays out this really clear, escalating progression. World War I, that was a battle to claim territory for God. World War II cranked it up a notch to a battle for people, for entire populations. But World War III, the Cold War that's happening right then, that is the final and most important battle of all, an ideological war to either wipe God off the face of the planet or restore him as its true center. The stakes just could not be higher. But here's where the story takes a really dramatic turn. The side that was supposed to be God's champion, that Abel-type free world, the speech presents it as having catastrophically failed in its divine duty. Let's dig into how the speech explains this massive failure. So the argument goes like this. After World War II, America had this historic chance. It could have been a kind of generous elder brother, uniting the world under a God-centered ideal. But instead, it just chased its own selfish interests. And at the exact same time, mainstream Christianity, which should have been the spiritual leader, was just too broken up, too fractured by different denominations competing with each other to provide any kind of unified moral front. And this power vacuum, well, that's what let the satanic side, communism, go on the attack. And this quote, it just perfectly sums up the spiritual law they believe is at work here. The free world's failure wasn't just some political mistake, it was a deep spiritual screw-up that, according to this iron rule, automatically invited an attack and let the enemy gain ground. Okay, so if the established powers completely dropped the ball, what was God's plan B? The speech argues that God himself had to step in to create a brand new force, a new champion, to win this final battle for him. And who is that new force? Well, according to the speech, it's the Unification Church. It's not just another religious group. In this story, it is God's own divinely created task force showing up at the most critical moment in history to do what the old powers couldn't. This framing puts the church right at the center of the final act. And the most crucial part of its message, especially in a world that's so violently split in two, is its radical inclusivity. Its whole mission is to declare that everything, all the land, all the people, and even God himself, doesn't belong to the communists or the free world. No, they all belong to a single, unified human family. So that brings us to the mission itself. I mean, what does it actually take to create one family under God? The speech lays out a plan that is, well, it's on a truly monumental scale. I mean, just look at the sheer ambition here. This isn't a small plan. It's broken down into 4 colossal steps. First, unify all the races. Then, unify all the world's religions. After that, unify all of world culture, leading to the ultimate prize, the unification of the human heart itself. This is a blueprint for the complete and total transformation of society. This table really breaks down the key distinction the speech is making. See, traditional religions are presented as divisive, right? Each one claims God for its own little group. But the unification ideology says there is one God who is the parent of all humanity, which means everyone by definition is part of one big family. Okay, so a mission this huge, it's got to demand an incredible amount from the individual, right? So what is the follower's role in this cosmic trauma? How do they fit in? Well, it's laid out as this journey of absolute total commitment. You don't just agree with the mission, you have to become it. You start by saying, I will try to do it. Then you move to actively living it, saying, I'm doing it now. And you work towards that ultimate declaration of fulfillment, I have done it. It's a whole journey from just having an intention to living with absolute commitment. And the personal stakes? They are as high as they can possibly be. It's all or nothing. The mission is presented as the single most important thing in a follower's life. It comes before everything else. If you succeed, you gain everything: your spouse, your family, eternal salvation. But if you fail, you lose it all. And all of this builds to the final, incredibly dramatic conclusion of the speech, a world literally sitting on a knife's edge, with two totally different futures just hanging in the balance. And there it is, laid out as clearly as you can imagine. It's a choice between two futures, no in between, no middle ground. If the mission succeeds, total unification, one human family, and God is restored. But if it fails, the complete collapse of religion, the triumph of atheism, and the entire world falls to the satanic side. You know, this final quote really captures that feeling of purpose, that sense of honor that this worldview gives to its followers. They're not just living through some chaotic period in history. They believe they are essential players, personally sent by God to this unique and final moment of destiny. So, there you have it. We've just walked through this incredibly powerful worldview presented in that 1982 speech, a complete reinvention of history, with a clear problem, a clear villain, and a clear hero. And it leaves us with this final, really thought-provoking question. What does it mean for any group to see itself as the one definitive answer to all of history's problems? It's a fascinating look at the power of a story that offers absolute certainty in a very, very uncertain world.